Hello friends, welcome to Mule Sessions. I am Sai Srinu. Today my topic is about application scope error handling. So this is the third video in series of Mule error handling, and the topic today I like to discuss is application scope. In the previous video about the scopes of error handling, the first topic I described about application scope, right? So application scope, it's like a error handling at global level, right? When you want to handle an error that is occurring in multiple flows, then rather than defining that error in each and every flow, you will define in one global space that is referred in multiple flows. So about this application error handling, I will give you a small demo. Let me jump into the Anypoint Studio. Here I'm creating a project. So my demo is like this. What I do is I'll create a project and I will define two flows, and the two flows has a similar kind of error handling. What I'm doing in these two flows is I'm trying to read a file that path is not exist in my machine. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm trying to read an illegal file. So that type of scenario is having in two flows. In that case, rather than defining the same exception handling in both the flows, I will define one global error handler. There I will handle the error, managing handling the illegal file path, right? And I will refer this error handler in both the flows, in this flow and this flow. So this is the demo, and I think by this time my new point should have started. So I'm creating a project like app global error handler demo. So this is my project name, global error handler demo. So my project is created. I'm closing rest of tabs, close others. So now I'm creating two flows, and see the first flow I'm exposing at some 8081. So port I'm exposing this at 8081, and at path at root path. Next, I'm trying to read a file. I'm trying to read a file using file connector. File read, right? So I'm trying to read a file, and file path is some path like e colon test dot tst. So in my machine there is only C drive, there is no E drive. So I'm trying to read a file from illegal path, right? So these kind of exceptions, if you handle in a flow level, what you do is you drag and drop one exception error handler. So I'm and inside this error handler you will see what kind of error you'll get. You'll get file reader error, file illegal path, right? So this illegal path, when you're trying to read a file from an illegal path, so the control comes over here. If that file is not exist, I'm logging this information to log file, right? Application trying to read from illegal path, test.txt. Okay, so just I'm printing some valid information so that I can able to understand when I see the log file, right? So this is the thing I'm handling in this error handler. So what I'm doing defining is, now rather than defining this error handler at the flow level, I'm defining the error handler at the global level. So I'm creating one global error handler. So this is a way drag and drop the global error handler. Okay, and the difference is, for global error handler you have a, there is a name for the error handler. So this is the name global error handler, demo error handler. So you can cut short and can use a meaningful name, global error handler, right? And if you see the source code of this flow, this application, and see, this is a global error handler code, and it has a name, and there is one more error handler at the flow scope inside the flow. This error handler doesn't have name. Okay, because for global, if you want to refer from the flow, it should have name. Okay, in this it is already in flow, so it can't be referred from other flows, so it doesn't need to have name, right? Now what I'm doing is, I'm I'm making this as a global error handler. So the content inside is local, I'm copying to a global level, right? So now this is a global error handler, right? Now I'm removing this content here. Now what I want to do is, see, if you observe the graphical view, there is no local error handler. Now the content inside the local, I move to global, right? Now I will refer this global error handler from the flow, right? So what I'm doing is, in the error handler ref, this is the global error handler. This is what referring what, right? So this way you can refer a global error handler from the flow, right? So what I'm doing is, I'm creating one more flow exposing the HTTP endpoint at 8082. Now this endpoint, this one, right? So here also I'm trying to read a file that is not exist in my machine. something like f colon abc dot txt. So this file is not available in my machine, right? So here also I want to refer this global error handler. For readability purpose, what I'm doing is I'm making this down and the two flows, and the second flow, if you go to configuration XML file, right? So what I'm doing is I am this moving this error handler at the top. Okay, let it be. And in the second flow, I want to refer this global error handler. So for that, what I'm doing is I'm copying this section, this referring section from the first flow to second flow, right? So now you have a separate global error handler. It has a name. The name is global error handler, and this global error handler is referred to two flows like this, right? And in these two flows, if you have any error like a file illegal path, so that is taken care by this global error handler, right? So let me quickly run this flow. I'm running this application. So let me deploy this application to integrated runtime of AnyPoint Studio. That is deployed. Let me test this from my browser. So in the browser, HTTP localhost 8081. I'm invoking the first flow, and you can see the error handler executed, right? And you can see the corresponding log statement over here. Application trying to read from illegal path, right? So your global error handler is executed, right, when you have error occurred in the flow one. And similarly, I'm trying to run a flow and flow two. If you run a flow two on 8082, you will get the similar kind of error, and your global error handler is taking care of handling that error, right? So this is about global scope error handler, application scope error handler. So this is very important concept. When your flows having a similar kind of error handling, in that case, defining the similar error handling code in multiple places, it is best practice to encapsulate dot logic in one place as a global error handler, and refer that global error handler in the flows wherever it is required, right? So thank you so much for watching my session. Thanks a lot.